So today's topic is access risk analysis, the first foremost component of access control. So before I start the concept related to this, if you see, look at the previous names of this concept. So in Versa 4.0, this was referred to as compliance calibrator, and then later in GRC access control 5.3, it was referred to as RAR, which stands for risk analysis and remediation. And currently the latest versions in GRC access control 10 and 10.1, it is today referred as access risk analysis. Okay, so these are the previous names. You need to even remember the previous names of the system of these components, because in interviewer expects you to remember the previous names of those components. Okay, this component basically deals with risk. So what exactly is a risk? How can you define a risk? Yes, anyone? How can you define a risk?
If you give the same function, two function to one person, it will be a risk.
Okay,
Take
Anand,
for example,
can you bit be allowed?
yeah, if suppose
Yeah.
the purchase order creator and purchase order approver, the same person means it will be a risk.
Okay, right. Okay, any other example?
No, I don't have other example.
Okay. Okay, fine. So basically, if you don't talk about SAP, first of all, if you are referring to normal risk definition in your day-to-day life, something which impacts your business. So business point of view, if you talk, whichever impacts your business, that could be in any format, financial, reputation, or in terms of revenue, volume. Yeah. So especially they concentrate more on the loss, that is financial loss. Every company is worried about the financial loss. So basically, something which impacts your business is called as a risk. And the risk has some characteristics, like the first most characteristic is the probability. So what do you mean by probability? So I can say that as a chances of its occurrence. So chances of its occurrence is how depends on experience or knowledge. Say for example, I have taken a below example. If you say betting, so most of us in India we are famous. In India it is cricket betting is very famous. So in cricket betting there is a 50% probability of losing. We are talking about only losses. I'm not talking about the profits. So the risk is in betting there is a 50% probability of losing. This probability of losing can be decreased if you have a very good knowledge in cricket, like about the form of the team, how the form, who is the team, who are the members of the team, cricket team, how the team has been performing on its home ground and foreign grounds. So some factors depend on that particular. So if you are well aware of the knowledge regarding that particular game, so your chances of losing the game or losing the bet will be decreased. So that is a probability. So basically, if you have a proper knowledge of your business, how to run your business, or what are the risks faced by the business, you can try to initially take the steps to decrease its occurrence. So that is what I meant is probability. So probability will depend on the experience or knowledge you have on that particular business or on that particular area. So this is one characteristic. The second characteristic is risk is not universal. So risk is not universal. What do you mean by this statement is risk depends on local factors. It varies from company to company or location. So that means In one company, a particular thing may be a risk. In another company, it may not be a risk. So that is what risk is not universal. So if you find a risk in India, that may not be a risk in USA. That may not be a risk in Japan. So that depends on local factors. Risk depends on local factors. It varies from company to company or location. And for this example, this is one of the real-time example. So I think everybody is aware of Reliance as a company. So Reliance is also into power generation. Reliance is producing power and it is supplying power to 3 state governments: Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh and Gujarat. Okay, when it is supplying power to 3 state governments, so it has to pay the bills. The respective state government has to pay the bill, and it has a cutoff date, due date, what we call it as. The due date to pay the bill by every state is listed as follow. So Maharashtra's due date is 5th of every month, and so respective dates you can see below: 10th of every month and the 15th of every month. So these are the due dates. Maharashtra has to pay the bill on 5th of every month, 10th of every month Madhya Pradesh, and Gujarat has to pay 15th of every month. Okay, now I'll give you a situation where there can be a fraud occurring here, and a scenario like this. There are two functions done within this industry, like payment receiving is one function and the payment adjustment is another function. So let us go to an example now. Say for example, okay, so as I told you here, Maharashtra, the cutoff date is 5th, Madhya Pradesh cutoff date is 12th, 10th. Okay, so Maharashtra has paid the bill within the time before 5th of the month, and in Madhya Pradesh, which is lack of funds, lack of money, is unable to pay the money, is unable to pay the bill to Reliance Power on 10th of the month, is unable to pay the bill on the 10th of this month. So they have requested the Madhya Pradesh government state employees or somebody has requested to the Reliance Power employees saying that we cannot pay the bill on 10th, we will definitely pay the bill on 12th or 13th maximum. So give us 2 days time, we will be paying the bill, but they want to avoid the fine, because if you don't pay the bill within 10th, there will be a fine attracted to your bill. So there will be, the fine amount will be added to your bill. So to avoid that, they have come into an agreement with the Reliance Power employee saying that you somehow manage that we will pay the bill by 12th of this month or 13th of this month maximum, and please avoid the fine. So what this Reliance Power employee does is, Gujarat state government, which is surplus in funds, they generally, we do not, some people, some customers pay the bill in advance of time. For example, your mobile bill date, due date is 31st of this month, but the bill date generation was on 20th. So you may pay it on 21st itself if you have money. Same way here also, Gujarat has paid the money on the every month first week itself. Every month first week it has paid the bill. So suppose, imagine it has paid the bill on 7th or 8th of this month. So the money which was paid by Gujarat will be shown as if it is paid by Madhya Pradesh. And when actually Madhya Pradesh pays the money back on 12th or 13th, that will be put into the account of Gujarat. So what the employee of Reliance Power has done here is, he has received the payment from Gujarat, payment receiving from Gujarat, and then he has adjusted the payment as if it is paid by Madhya Pradesh. And again, when actually Madhya Pradesh paid on 12th or 13th, it is again adjusted as if it is paid by Gujarat. So by doing this activity, there is a fraud that has happening. A small sort of fraud happened here. The Madhya Pradesh has avoided the fine, and there is a loss to the company called Reliance Power. So this is an example of S4D risk. So payment receiving and payment adjustments should not be given to a same user, because if this is given to a same user, such type of fraud can be done by this user. So that is what, as a GRC consultant, it is proposed to Reliance Power. So Reliance Power, after hearing to all these things, they rejected, they did not accept this as a risk. The reason being, as there are only 3 customers, it is very easy for us to track or to monitor which state is paying the amount on which date, etc. It is not a n number of customers, right? Only 3 customers. So on dashboard, we can easily see who is paying the money, who is not paying the money in time, and we can easily track where the payment is getting adjusted. So you need not say, or they did not accept this combination T1 plus T2 as a risk. But now just imagine the same case with Maharashtra, within Maharashtra state, or within Madhya Pradesh, or within Gujarat. So the Gujarat will supply power to, Gujarat supplies power to multiple. So supply power to 10K industries. So imagine Gujarat is supplying power to 10K industries. Now just imagine if the same sort of fraud happens with the Gujarat government, within the Gujarat government. Is it possible to track from where the payment is coming and from where it is getting adjusted? Is it easy to track? Everyone understood the concept or example what we said now discussed so far? So the same thing I said, payment receiving and payment adjustment, that fraud is happening within the Gujarat government. The Gujarat state government employees are doing this. They are receiving the payments from one company. They are showing it in other company accounts. So within 10K or more than 10K, you cannot expect 10K is very less amount, less number. It is more than, generally it will be more than 10K industries. So it will be very difficult to track, monitor if same thing is happening within the, because here the huge number of customers, we have 10,000 industries are there. So which industry is paying the bill, which is who is getting adjusted, it is very difficult to track. So the Gujarat government readily accepted this as a risk, whereas Reliance Power did not accept this as a risk. So what is the factor, decision making factor to accept as a risk or not to accept as a risk here is the number of customers. Clear so far? So the number of customers are 3, hence they did not treat that as a risk. But here in comes to Gujarat, it is the number of customers are 10K, 10,000 customers are there. So it is difficult to track, and hence they identified this as a risk. They have set up this as a control in the industry. So understood the concept? Risk is not universal. Some companies may accept it, some companies may not accept it, depending on the local factors. Yeah. So before I move ahead, any doubts so far? Risk and its characteristics.
It's clear.
Okay. Right. So moving ahead. So in this concept, basically, we deal with, the area deals with these 3 concepts. Risk identification. Once risk is identified, we'll try to remove or avoid the risk. And if the risk is already occurring, then we will not able to try to remove or avoid it. We will try to reduce its impact. So that concept is called as risk mitigation. And risk removal is called as risk remediation. Identifying a risk is called as risk analysis. So these are the 3 main concepts which we are going to discuss in this concept area. How to identify a risk, how to remove or avoid a risk, how to reduce the impact of the risk. So that is called as risk analysis, risk remediation, and risk mitigation. Okay, yeah, just give me 2 minutes. Yes. Any doubts before I move ahead? What is global rule set? Definition is given here. You can just refer to it later as well. Right. So now, the first and foremost question which you face in interviews, are you using global rule set in your project or a custom rule set? So what do you mean by a custom rule set? So it is not necessary, as I told you, the second characteristic. What is second characteristic? Risk is not universal. So for example, yours is automobile business. For example, your business is automobile business. Here, the risks faced by Toyota company, the risks faced by Ford company may not be applicable to your business. So because I said risk is not universal. So hence what we do is, we can customize the rule set according to our necessity. We can customize the rule set. So we can deactivate some of the rules or some of the risks in the global rule set and then compare with your business. So that is what customizing rule set is called, as custom rule set. Okay, as risk is not universal, it is not necessary that you accept everything as a risk whichever is there in the global rule set. It is not necessary. So you can accept only the ones whichever you need according to your project requirement. Only that can be accepted, and that is called as custom rule set. You will customize the global rule set and then you can customize it and name it. Okay, clear so far? Right. Now I'll show you how this rule set, global rule set information is stored in the GRC system. Right. Let us go to system now. Right. So the T code where you find all these things in the front end part, like NWBC. NWBC stands for NetWeaver Business Client. This is you called as a front end screen of GRC. So that is where you find all the risk information. So click on NWBC cockpit. Yeah. So this is the front end page of GRC. So under setup, as soon as you enter into NWBC transaction, the page opens and in this page click on setup. So here you have the information, access rule maintenance. So here what you can do is manage access rule sets, functions, access risks, use it to identify access violations. So these are the things you can do in this particular area. So this is rule set, functions and access risks. So first let me click on rule set and show you what are the rule set names we have here. So we have global, this is what we get by default. Okay, and then these are the customized ones. You can see there are several customized rule sets available like BMW, Tata, LBG, critical, SOD rules, whatever the name you can keep as per your wish. Clear everyone? So you can put whatever the name you need, just as per your project. Suppose your project client is for BMW, you can put the rule set name itself as BMW rule set. So but by default when you see the fresh system, you see this only this global is available to you. Only global will be available. This is only the name. Okay. Now let us go to the functions, or I'll directly go to the risk IDs. In global, what are the risk IDs? Available risk IDs. So clicking on access risks. So this is a list of risks you are able to find here. Okay. Now you can see pick up anyone. So let us pick up like this one, B009. So it stands for Basis Table Maintenance and System Administration. Let me open this. Right. You can look here. So this is the access risk ID and the risk type. So I'll come to the risk types later, but just before let me explain you what is a risk. These are the risk types: segregation of duties, critical action and critical permission. We'll come to the details. Just as an example we are seeing. So it belongs to, this risk belongs to a business process called area, business basis. Description: basis table maintenance and system administration. Risk level is high, status is active, and this is the description of the risk. An individual could modify data in tables or modify valid configuration values and set up the production environment to run the transactions and programs using inappropriately modified data. So what he's trying to explain here is, if a user has access to basis table maintenance and system administration, these two combine, what he can do. An individual could modify data in the tables or modify valid configuration values and set up the production environment to run transactions and programs using the inappropriately modified data. This could affect data integrity, system performance, and proper traceability in the audit logs. So this is the risk if a same user is having access to both the table maintenance as well as system administration. So these are the two functions now. The function names, if user is able to perform two functions, the functions are basis table maintenance and system administration. So that is referred to as this risk ID B009. This risk ID belongs to a rule set called global. So this is where the link between risk and the global rule set is available. So this risk ID B009 is available under the risk rule set called global. Clear so far? So if user performs these two functions, basis table maintenance and system administration, then this is the risk ID according to global rule set.
Can we see the keyboard here?
Anand, I want you bit aloud. Not able to hear you.
Yeah. Can we see the T code here? Because only
Still,
function name
still,
like
still not able to hear you.
can we see the T code here?
Yes, yes, I'll show you.
Code.
So what are the T codes under this basis table maintenance? So you need to go to the functions now. Open the function now. So let me keep the screen as it is and let me open the function. This is the functions. So filter here, search for the function. So what is the function names? Just a minute, I'm reconnecting again. It's lost. Okay. So the function names I was talking about, referring to, so these are the two functions, BS03 and BS11. Let us go to first BS03, which is for basis table maintenance. So type the function BS03. So this is a function, table maintenance. Open this. So inside the function you find the T codes now. So table maintenance can be done by these transactions. Sorry. Clear, everyone? So this is a system name. In this system, these transactions, SPRO, SM31, SM30, SE16N, SE16, these are the T codes with which we do what? Table maintenance.
Got it.
Pardon?
Yeah, 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 clear. Sorry.
Okay. Right. Similarly, you have the T codes list available in the other function as well. So this is the function related to table maintenance. You have all the T codes related to that function. And the other function name is BS11, which stands for system administration. So what are the T codes under system administration? So the most important thing here is you need to identify the right T codes through which we can do the system administration. So these are the T codes given here: XSDB, XSDA tools, SSAA. So you need to have a proper knowledge on the T codes information which are used for system administration. So it is impossible to have the knowledge on T codes belonging to every domain like finance, sales, CRM. It is very difficult to have a knowledge, or impossible to have a knowledge on all the T codes. So hence it is always better to go for global. So global will give you the complete information regarding the T codes, functions, risk IDs, etc. So once you see the global rule set, then you will get an idea how to create the custom rule set. Okay, so clear so far? So the example what we are seeing now is related to SOD risk. Right. So this risk ID B009, is caused due to two functions BS03 and BS11. Okay, clear so far? So like this you have so many risk IDs, total in number, how many we have here? So we have around 448. So two lines indicate one risk ID. You can see here two lines. For example, this is one B009, B009. This is one risk ID. So in total here you can see the number of rows 448. So around 224 risk IDs are available. Total 224 risk IDs are available. So whether all are of different type, you can see they are not, you can based on the risk type you can segregate here. Like these are critical action, these are critical permission, and the below ones are segregation of duties. You can also list down based on business process, related to basis area, status. So I told you risk level, high level, medium level, low level, etc. So this information is drawn in your, or this is how the global rule set has been designed. So let me show an example. Yeah, this is one example you can see. Suppose your project or business has following business processes, following domains: finance, HR, sales, CRM, and MM. So within finance, I have functions like AP, GL, FA, accounts payable, general ledger, fixed assets. So according to the concept of SOD, a single user should not perform more than one function, should not do multiple functions basically. So if any user does AP plus GL, then that is a risk. If any user does GL plus FA, that is a risk. If any user does within HR, PA and payroll both, that is a risk. Two functions. Okay. So these are business processes. Each business processes is subdivided into functions, and these functions will cause the risks. Combination of the functions or a single function can also cause a risk. Two combinations can cause SOD risk, or one function itself can cause a normal risk. Clear? Okay. Any doubts so far now how the rule set has been designed? Raja, are you speaking something, because I am not able to hear you?
No, I'm fine.
Okay. So that is an example of S4D risk, what we have seen now. So coming to simple information now, I'll take a definitions theoretical part today. Tomorrow we'll go into the details, how to create them and all those stuff. So coming to risk types, I have three types of risks as I told you. The first category is SOD risk, combination of conflicting functions. So it is referred, it is, the definition is combination of conflicting functions. Like if a user has SU01 and PFCG, or SCC4 and STMS, client administration and transport management system, user administration and role administration, which are conflicting. So they should not combine each other. So then that is called as a SOD risk. So these T codes belong to different function. So it is not like T codes within a function combine each other, do not form a risk. For example, you have SU01 and you have SU10. So both T codes are used for user administration only. So if SU01 plus SU10 combines each other and the user has access to both the T codes, that is not considered as a risk, because both the T codes are part of the same function. Only when a T code of one function combines with the T code of another function, that will be causing a SOD risk. The second type of risk is called as critical action risk. In this case, earlier it should combine with other T code, then only it is a risk. But in the second case, the T code itself is a risk. For example, let us take the example of SEC5. What is the purpose of SEC5 transaction?
That is client delete.
It is client deletion. What will happen if a user deletes a client, production client?
It will be risk for company because
But
after that they cannot perform the action.
yes, they could not. No user can log in first of all. The entire production support gets stopped. The production system will
Yes,
be down for 1 day or minimum 2 days, right? So if a production
yes.
system is down for 1 or 2 days, what will be the impact on your business?
Company gets the loss.
Yes, huge loss, millions of dollars of loss to a company. So here the T code itself is a risk. Any user having SEC5 T code itself as a risk should be identified as a risk. So that is called as critical action risk. So note it down now. Wherever you have the word action in GRC, treat that as a T code. Wherever you have permission, treat that as an authorization values. So that's about the critical action risk. So SPRO T code is dangerous. SC38 is dangerous because you can modify the programs. SCC4 is also dangerous because you can edit the client settings. You can open the client so that the configuration changes will be done directly in the production system. SCC5 client deletion, dangerous T code. So they are critical actions, means critical T codes risk, critical T code risk. Coming to the third category, critical permission risk. So permission means authorization values. Say now for develop, what is critical? S underscore develop is critical only when the activity value is 0, 1 or 0, 2. S underscore turbo underscore dis is also critical only when the activity is 0, 1 or 0, 2 again. So understood? So if a user has S underscore turbo underscore dis with activity 03, which is a display access, that is not a risk. Displaying the data is not a risk. Only when you try to create a data, when you try to edit the data, that will be a risk. S underscore develop is for modifying the programs, creation programs and then modification of programs. So we are not concentrating on the T code here. Instead, we are concentrating on the authorization values. So that particular thing is called as a critical permission risk. Okay, clear so far? So any doubts regarding the types of risks? Okay, right then. So those are the three types of risks: SOD risk, critical action risk, and critical permission risk. Now coming to the other categories, other function related stuff, risk level. So risk level is nothing but how can you define a particular risk as a low or a particular risk as a high or a medium based on the loss impact done to your business. So whatever the impact is done to your business, based on that we will define it as a low, medium, high and critical. So if the loss is less, it will be low. If the loss is huge, abnormal, then we categorize that as a critical. Okay. So these are the few things about a risk. Types of risks, risk levels, and in this session, so risk levels, medium, I told you based on the impact. Risk types we have seen. What are the three types of risks? And every risk will be under a business process, dedicated to business processes and active. So how to check whether a risk is active or not? How to make it inactive? Basically, open the risk ID. Here the status you can see active, or you can keep it as inactive. If this is not sufficient or required to your business, you can make it as inactive. So you can inactivate some of the risk IDs, and then you can customize the rule set, and that becomes your custom rule set. Okay, clear everyone? So this is all about the introduction to your concept called ARA. So I'll stop it here for today, because we'll start it tomorrow with an example. We'll take an example how the risks have been created, and we will create one risk ID which is called as a S4D risk. We'll start with S4D risk. We'll create all the three types of risks, and we'll also test it whether they are working fine or not according to our design, according to our configuration. So in interview point of view, they can ask you, first question here is, are you using global rule set or custom rule set? First question. Okay. Next question is, have you created risks? Have you created a custom risks? So that we'll see tomorrow. How to create a custom risks. So there is a risk ID already in the global rule set, so which is not relevant to us. We need to create a custom one on our own. So how to create that? Right. Yeah. So I'll stop it here, and before closing the session, I want to ask anyone if anyone has a doubts.
For the today's session, I don't have any doubt. This is Raja here.
Okay.
So I have a question on this. The access control implementation process in the PDF file mentioned, right?
Mm-hmm.
In the upgrade and the migration part, we will be covering that also, right? How to perform the migrations from 5.3 to 10.1, some of the things. It's not practically at least, but I mean,
Yeah, overview will be given. Not exactly, cannot show you that upgrade, but the
right.
theoretical part I can tell you what exactly has to taken care in the migration.
Okay.
Anything
And
else?
MSMP, BRF plus, everything will be covered, right?
Okay, MSMP BRF plus comes in the last component called ARM, Access Request Management. So first we need to complete first three components, ARA, EAM and BRM. Only then we can go for ARM.
Okay.
We will cover them. MSMP configuration, BRF plus, we'll cover everything.
Workflow, everything, right? Step by
Yes,
step.
yes.
Okay. So actually, I'm about to lead the migration project. So that's the reason being I started this course actually,
Mm-hmm.
this course. So about to lead the migration 5.3 to 10.1.
Okay,
I'm not a GRC background guy, but I'm a basis background guy actually.
okay,
So yeah.
fine. Fine, Raja. Anybody else? Any other doubts?